Welcome everyone. Today we'll be talking on the topic and coaching. The differences, the fine nuances that differs or exist between mentoring and coaching. Let us proceed to what else would be discussed and the brief agenda thereby. We will be talking everything about mentoring. How is it ingrained as far as change leadership is concerned? What are the roles and dynamics thereof, and the various approaches to mentoring conversation? This is what will be discussed in today's presentation. Let us come forward to it as on when on required as to what is to be looked forward. So, offline help by one person to another is making significant transition in knowledge, work, or things like that is what we will be talking about right today. Now, this is the knowledge, the ways the works have been done, or the thought process thereby. How do we change it altogether? So, process whereby an experienced, highly regarded, and emphatic person guides another individual in the development and re-examinations of their own ideas per se. That is what we'll be looking at as far as personal or professional development is all about. Let us understand the definitions of mentoring and how it differs right from to coaching as far as possible. Remember, these are two different aspects of teaching and training. As from teaching, more or less, they are the same part of upskilling the individual, upgrading the individual, and acquiring or helps in process of acquiring knowledge or skills thereby, because they draw out on learning rather than putting it in. They aim at the reflection and experimental leading to the individual development rather than at the direct input that leads to an expected output. And that is what has been different from coaching is all about it. Both are keen, only the pedagogy is different. Coaching is essentially to get the very best out of someone, enabling them to make decisions that will improve their performances. Mentoring is about a broader personal development and sometimes even less tangible goals, as the case might be. Remember, different types of coaching falls into a broad container. Hawkins and Smith in 2006 said about towards mentoring, it is all about skills which upgradation of skills will eventually lead to into improvement of performances, as the case might be. This is the performances, that means an overall development taking place not only for the individual but also for the organization. So what is there is just an upgrading of the skills which leads to a performance and overall development. Don't you think by the time it comes to the fourth stage, there's a change in the ethos and performance wise, the quality of the person comes around it? So, mentoring is different from coaching. Remember, despite the same objective, the pedagogy is different for either one of them, and they should be taught have and has their own merit in the process. Let us discuss them in a further details and show a pictographical representations of coaching and mentoring. Let us plant the time scale on y-axis, be it short term or long term, and probably your skills, knowledge, behaviors on an x-axis. Let's say what you have and what you do it in a future orientation, and now what comes around it as far as the thing is concerned. Remember, when things are on short-term basis and when we are looking to acquire skills, knowledge, behavior, competency, it is coaching. But when we are looking for a broader perspective, and this is what the mentoring comes around it. Mentoring is a long-term impact of instilling the faith in every one of them, as the case might be all about it. It is this pictograph which will enable you to understand what is important and how do we go ahead with the procedure. This is the interaction. This is the interaction between coaching and mentoring, and this is what we all strive to aspire for it. Coaching influences, ALT, or the adult learning theory, wherein we can coach a number of person at the same time. It's a life stage development. It is all about improvement of performances, counseling, and psychotherapy, setting up sports and skills, career, team leadership, and executive. Let us understand the styles. the narrative, the goals as being directed. We are looking at models which are Grow or NLP, which should be on a clean languages as on when on basis. This is what helps us to attain the best format in days to come. We'll talk about the mentoring influences. Now, let us delve into the history to understand what are the various mentoring influences, right from Homer, the erstwhile Greek philosopher, who was always of the opinion of sponsorship, wherein the pupil would be sponsored, completely taken into as a protege of their mentor, and they will be responsible, the mentor be responsible for the personal growth and transformation. Professional development is what Cram evidenced and documented in 1985 in formal mentoring traditions. We have so wherein it is not formally recognized and there are no formal procedures, but wherein the mentee actually look up to the mentors and mimic his or her style and definitely look to dissect the viewpoints and decision making capacity and the enactment thereabout. That is the informal mentoring tradition. And of course, we have the formal schemes and training where people are assigned to a mentor, the mentees are assigned to a person. Professional standards in mentoring has been documented by um, EMCC, the mentoring conferences that comes around it. Let us understand the mentorship journey in the professions as the case might be. Let me go around it every now and then and let tell you what are the path that comes around it. Professional as a mentor, you have so many paths to choose from. Look at the mentor around it. It is up to the organization and to sponsor the expectations of the mentor, where they will be formally inducted into the mentoring scheme, where people are going to give the nuances, fine nuances and improvement that is supposed to be imparted. The mentoring expert, as the case might be, and a professional mentor comes around it. They will put grind themselves into this formal mentoring process. Expect to learn the outcome of the mentorship program as the case might be and definitely walk into it, and that is what we are looking forward in due courses of time. Yes, mentoring will enable transformational leadership, a process where leaders and their followers raise one another to a higher level of mortality and motivation. Leading change, what we are looking into it, motivations and breach resistance. This is a part of transformational leadership that comes around it. A flexible leadership style in terms of persuasion, engagement, and influences. This is what we are looking as for transformation. Our leaders and the followers raises one each other's higher level of motivations and morality as the case might be. Causes of role transition. Now, this is where this every time there's a role transition, there is a stress comes around it. Why people may not be able to cope up with the role transition? Why? Because they are comfortable in their comfort zone and you are taking them out of their comfort zone and probably experiencing certain things for the first time, so there is which leads to a decreased self-esteem. Why self-esteem has been decreased? Because if you are not been able to uh, live up to your reputation, definitely things are not been appreciated. Change to the social support structures, the hidden curriculum, the new teaching, learning, assessment methods, the change to place of work, confidence and perception of failure that comes around it, the learning curve. We are looking to look into the increase in responsibilities and the workload, the work-life balance thereof. Yes, this is the role transition that comes around it. I again reiterate decrease in self-esteem, about social structures which has an impact upon it. There might be an hidden agenda or curriculum that comes for a transition or mentorship. People might show enough potential, but then when it comes to a real life, they're not able to live it up to their potential, and they might not be mentally so strong or agile to resort to the stress and probably the demands of the job. So it is all about new teaching, new learning, new assessment method, change to the place of work. Again, people and might fall back into their comfort zone. The confidence level, the perception level all suffers a setback, and it is the learning curve that comes around it. Let us understand the factor that increases resilience. How do we go about it? What is it that is so important? So we have talking about the intellectual and interest. Intellectual is wherein there is a capacity to obtain more knowledge, to understand the better operations of the thing, the self-awareness, the mindfulness, the time management, and the WLBA, the work-life balance, as the case of it. If you're not able to manage your time, you are only digging your own grave. You might be the work might be stockpiling up, and you are not able to get rid of them, and this is going to reflect on your productivity. Then comes the CPD. CPD is essentially very important because it is all about continuing professional development. If you are not able to upgrade yourself with and keep up with the pace of the time, you are basically falling behind, and that is something that we are looking forward to is continuous professional development. One needs to have the knack of it, the support, the significant others, the colleagues, the mentors. Each of them will improve your resiliences as the case might be. Let me tell it to you, the organization life cycle or the person life cycle, the decision that one goes around for making a change and into a new beginning that comes around it. There are basically four parameters or four stages that comes around, from uncertainty to skepticism, and from skepticism to exploration. Then comes your commitment. So in your comfort zone, and if things have to be changed and a change has to be introduced, what it comes around, it does it gives you an excitement? Probably not. Why? Because futures are unknown and you are already in a comfort zone. You are leading a comfortable lifespan, and when the change has been introduced, so you may be experiencing stress due to uncertainty. So what happens is, if you do not change, you come into confusion, reservation, frustration, denial, and your performances drop because you're not cooperating. In case if you are cooperating also, there is an anticipation and excitement that comes around it. You're not been able to perform at an optimal level, which should be like this, the curve should going up. But what happens because of the new changes, your performances drops down, and this is where you realize that either you perish or you perform. This is a stage of skepticism, which is the transition stage that we go around it of creativity, anxiety, and resistance. This is where it is the philosophy of do and die creeps in. Out here you will try to reinvent and get out of the confusion, if you want to say so. Probably how you will look into exploration of ambivalence, unsure, relief, trying out slowly and steadily, taking baby steps. And before you will see there is an accomplishment, high energy and learning. Things are moving into the right direction and your performances improve. Before you know, you are going to practice whatever resistance, innovations, surety, and things like have been done as a habit, and that is what is commitment is all about it. So this is the mentoring and resilience graph that comes to go around it, strengthening of the professional identity from novice to an expert, has been mentioned by Benner. The tacit knowledge of a work, a job, a task, a operation, a process is what is being espoused by Polanyi and Eric. Learning through reflective practices, as in you see what is happening in the environment and accordingly you take your action, and that is what learning through reflective practice is all about it. Social learning is peripheral participation, be it love and venture. Professional cultures and role modeling is based on Ibarra, as the case might be. If you look at it, I am sure things are going to be improved by leaps and bounds. Let us understand the role of a mentor. Mentor is a person who is supposed to be the person who have been into the situation, done that, experienced it, and has been successfully overcoming the situation time and again. Or should I say, they are expert, they are near peer or peer or reverse, as the case might be. Absolutely, maybe your co-workers, maybe your seniors. or even for that matter, a person who is not at a higher responsible position but have encountered the situation time and again. We are looking for guidance and moral support from the mentor. The career guidance may be short term or a long term. It elevates stress because now you have another person to have your back. You know there is a trusted colleague with whom you can depend upon, exchange your notes as to what has been going right and what is stressing you, advice on the practical issue as the case might be. We should be non-judgmental, voluntary. There should not be any vested interest. Sounding boards, checking the things out, and role modeling thereafter every moment now and then. And this is what is the role of the mentor. Let us assume the dimensions of mentoring one by one. It is of intellectual needs of acquiring a new skill of learning. This is the mentee's need that we are looking into it. The mentee needs to acquire some knowledge, some skills, some ambience, some experience, some attitude, some behavioral knowledge, and most importantly, the mentee needs encouragement and emotional support. And this is where the practical support, which been plotted on a y-axis as a directive influence and a self-reliance, which is all about independence. This is where the dimensions of mentoring has to be looking into is as a coach, as a guardian, as a network facilitators and a counselor, where everything is on self-reliances. You are just giving as a counselor directions to it. But whenever it is learning oriented and a self-reliances, probably you're showing the pathway and understanding which all skills needs to be picked up. It's a network facilitator. But when there's a practical support and encouragement, so that means this is where the mentor is working as a guardian, ensuring that the back is taken care of, ensuring the fact that any doubt is there, you are right there, absolutely keeping a tap on the things. But what happens when people learn to pick up a new skills, new trade, new knowledge, and this is where coaching is done. Where coaching is required, a mentor becomes a coach as to the practical support is concerned. So the mentees needs, one of the basic mentees needs that comes around it, supporting role or life transition. Yes, people are looking up, people are assuming newer responsibilities, people are taking up newer job roles, and this is where you are to look for supporting roles and life transition, developing personal and professional insight, challenging the assumption. We are there to work about the goals, and that is what the mentee would be looking up to, moving career in a new direction, working through a change, working with complexity, navigating ambiguity. We are building a resilience and a self-esteem as the case might be. So being a role model, behavior is observed from a distance. Certain qualities or practices are admired, not a conscious choice, definitely not a conscious choice. We are looking at a role model, maybe unaware of the influences. Remember, as a role model, the mentor has to inspire trust, inspire confidence, build aspirations as to look what they have done and how did they do against it. I want to do the same thing, can work in reverse. Probably a bad exemplar, as the case might be. The mentee's choice is business or psychological contract. Do we feel open with each other? Do we see mentoring as the same thing? Will we work as equals in the process, as the case might be? Or is it the coach jobs or the mentor's job to sketch or etch the right process of thinking in my mind? The gender, the cultural, and other ethical issues, the comfort zone that needs to be taken care of is what needs to be accessible. That is what we are looking for, the preferences and communication style, be it the non-directive versus anything else that comes around it. Preferred, help, push, or nudge as the scheme might be. So let us understand how do we build up the mentoring relationship. Right at the passage of a graph on an x-axis and a y-axis. Remember, on x-axis we are planting time versus going around it. So at the very original time, we are looking to pick up the skills, and the y-axis, so at the very start of phase, we are trying to build rapport with our mentors and the mentees. There is a rapport building session before there is absolutely objectivities, setting of the directions needs to be taken care as what is expected. And during expectations, the skill learning becomes the highest, and that is what the progression is all about. We move up to a level where the mentor can give them optimum levels and everything that the mentee requires, and from here onwards either the mentee moves on and above and beyond the mentor relationship, or perhaps winds up or goes down because there might be kind of satiating as far as the challenges are concerned, and that is what is winding up comes around it before you actually break up the relationship with the moving on time. So it can be that the mentor has exhausted all his wealth of experience and knowledge to the mentee, and as a result the relationship needs to be broken down after a point of time, and the mentee has to move on with the momentum at the right speed and right time before he or she picks up another mentee, and he or she becomes a mentor for somebody else. So rapport is what we are looking into. Rapport is all about building bridges, getting to know you, and what do you want to aspire to around it. Let us understand the Johari or the relationship window. We have taken Nate, Joe Loft, and Harry Ingram way back in 1985, wherein there are certain things which have been plotted on the x-axis as known to the mentee and unknown to the mentee, not known to the mentee absolutely, and there is certain things which is known to the mentor and unknown to the mentor on the y-axis, as the case might be if you look into it and look at the quadrant that we goes around it. This is a dotted quadrant that is very important. There are certain aspects that the mentee knows and even the mentor knows. Is I'm referring to the safe area. Both are aware of what is being been done, but then there are certain things not known to the mentor but known to the mentee, as in private areas. The mentee himself or herself doesn't disclose the fact, or probably keep those things very private. Now, can we increase those safe area? Can the mentee make it a point to increase and disclose all the private knowledge areas that needs to be done to the mentor? Similarly, something which is known to the mentor but things which are not known to the mentee, probably we are talking about the potential, and that is the blind spot that we are looking into it. It is the responsibility of the mentor to increase the safe area by length and breadth. But then there are certain aspects which is neither known to the mentor or not known to the mentee, which is an unknown area which goes around it. And can we explore certain things? Ideally, what will happen? Ideally, I want there should be no private areas, there should be no blind spot, and there should be no unknown spot. Everything should be safe area, and that is where the relationship, the mentor-mentee becomes stronger. The mentee will eventually reach the epitome of success, as the case might be, looking at the core skills and effective knowledge as that goes around it. The questioning is what is the wide range of question as appropriately utilized, frequency of interaction that is to be done, and between mentor and mentee, it is all about being actively listening, building empathy, ensuring that the personal agenda has been followed, allowing issues to be explored in a further depth, and helping in providing focus. Let us talk, not only listening and hearing things out, not only clarifying your doubt, but also positively impacting by giving feedback. Now, feedback from the mentee and the mentor will only forge a stronger bond, an honest discussion, an open environment, and that is what the challenges is all about it. Let us look at the questioning part as to why the questioning should be all about it. There are questions which are all about goals, all about insight, and these are nothing but probing questions. Once you are clarified why particular goal, why particular path, and what is the insight or rationale behind taking and adopting a path, we will come to the second question, which is challenging the question. This is a point where we are opening up, where we are thinking out of box, where we are experimenting, where we are challenging the traditional knowledge, unfreezing it, assumption, and exploring opportunities. Next comes the focus setting. Focusing question or testing question is when we are pulling our thoughts together, checking realities and setting boundaries at what is accepted and what is not. Comes the fourth questions altogether, which is confirming. Confirming is all about relating back to the question that comes around it, and this is what we are looking for, right? and that's the questioning part. So we have four kind of questions: probing, challenging, focusing, and confirming. Useful questions for the goals is what do you want and not what do you not want. So why do you require it? How will you know that where have you got there? These the question that goes around it. These eight questions are very pertinent to understand the whole gamut of mentorship and the skill acquiring knowledge that comes around it. What will be your first step be and what will be your next step be, as the case might be. So when do we want to reach this goal, or who or what will actually support use of it? You need to let me know, as in what is the celebration that comes around it. These are the useful questions that needs to be taken care of. Grow model, this is the model which has been propounded by Whitmore, as in grow are in abbreviations for G for goal, R for reality, O for options, and W for the way or the will forward. Now, this is the question that we go about it. What is your goal and why the goal? Is the G or model G question that comes around it. What is your reality and where now? Where are you standing right now at this point of time? And what is your aspirational reality that you want to go into future point of time? What are the options to reach it? How do you achieve those goals? How do you achieve the reality and the way forward, as if who and what not that needs to be taken care of. So let us go for the MDQs, the management development questions that comes around it, as what we are looking for it. What is an MDQ that comes around it? So what is your right uh, right dream or real dream in your life? You need to answer such certain questions like that. What does success actually mean to you? What do you want to be remembered for? What are the most important criteria for yourself? What is the thing that you value most? What is the answer that you would like to know? And there are so many host of things. It's essentially what is bothering you. What are the things that is not allowing you to sleep? What if today was the last day of your life? What are the things that you want to achieve before you move on? And that is the management development question that comes around it. Yes, we are into the formal process of mentoring. Yes, we are trying to find the appropriate knowledge and transfer scheme that comes around between mentor and mentee. Yes, we are trying to ascertain the expectation, the terms of reference, the contracting and meeting arrangement thereby, and that is what we are looking. Remember, everything is on the purpose of desired outcomes, interested parties, processes, accountability that comes around it. This is what we are looking for again and again. With the passage of time, will all of us will understand. So, what if it is not working? Does the life ends altogether? How do we go across it? What is that we are expected to do, and how do we go about? You need to tell me the question that comes around it as on the passage of time, as we go about it. So have clear feedback as on when on the stories comes around it. So there is no fault in the separation part. So let us understand the key messages before we wind up this particular presentation. The mentee is the one who is responsible for driving the relationship. The mentor doesn't have anything. The mentee has to has to learn from the mentor. The mentor doesn't gain anything in the relationship. Reap dividend by investing properly in the setup, the objectives, the action plan should be clearly defined with the momentum. Look both for short-term goals and long-term development. These are the two criteria that should be married, and their focus should never be get out of the range. Listen, support, challenge, everything. If properly done, you will come with a fulfilling relationship as a guide, as a mentor. You will come to know what is it, what are the problems, how to mitigate the problems, how to come up in every situation. Enjoy the relationship that comes around. Remember, mentoring is always a relationship. It is not an activity that I am trying to let you know. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sure you must have understood the difference between mentorship, the coaching, and so on and so forth. Thank you once again.